Hi, my name is Justin Zane, and I am the percussion/drums teacher at Highvale Primary School. In this video, I'll be introducing some of the percussion instruments that are integral to some of the band programs and some of the skills and techniques that are required to play these specific instruments. The first instrument I'll be introducing is one of the first instruments that the students will learn, and it's called the snare drum. What makes this instrument very unique is the set of wires it has that is located underneath the drum. So these wires are called snare wires, and usually they're made out of metal. There are other materials that come with it as well, such as nylon, which helps make that distinct rattling sound. Another feature that it has is the snare clutch. So the snare clutch is located on the side of the drum, and we can choose to turn on the snares or turn it off. So to turn it off, we need to push the clutch down like so to make this kind of sound. Then to turn on the clutch, we just have to pull the clutch up like so to make this distinct sound. So snare drum is commonly used in orchestras, concert bands, brass ensembles, percussion ensembles, and even marching bands like drum lines. I love this snare drum because it may seem like a very simple instrument, but there are a lot of extended techniques that are involved with this instrument. And one of the techniques I'll be introducing is called a buzz roll. So a buzz roll, or a multiple bounce roll, we're mainly focusing on our bounces within each of our strokes. So we can make slow buzzes by making the bounces longer. And then we can make even faster strokes to make the buzzes more shorter. Another technique that students will learn is the accents. So accents is an emphasis on a particular note. So it makes a note slightly louder than a normal note. So accents, when applied into context, sounds like this. So we're going to play normal notes for now. Then we're going to add the accents on every downbeat. You can really tell the difference of sound where one of them is slightly louder than the other. So the use of accents really helps a simple rhythm like straight quavers, crotchets, or semi-quavers to have a bit more groove behind the rhythm. So we can have something like this. So these are the more common extended techniques that the students will learn. There are many more fun techniques that involve once you progress through some of the exercises that will be covered in your music books. Alright, so what I have in front of me are two different types of mallet keyboard instruments. And mallet keyboard instruments are the second instruments that the students will learn. So on my right is the Glockenspiel, and on my left is the Xylophone. Both of these instruments share some similarities and some differences as well. One of the main similarities is that the keys are laid out the same. So down the bottom, we have one set of keys, which is going to be our normal notes. And then on top of that, we have another set of keys, which is going to be our sharps and flats. So the layout of the xylophone and glockenspiel is the exact same layout as the piano, if that ever helps you. Another similarity is that the longer the bars, the lower the pitch, and as you go up, the pitch gets higher. So something like this. One of its main difference though is the material of the bars. So with the glockenspiel, the bars are made out of steel, and it really gives out a nice, delicate, metallic sound. Very suitable for like delicate music like Harry Potter. Whereas on the xylophone, the bars are wooden, and unlike the glockenspiel, the sound is quite short and very articulate as well. I love playing on the Mallet percussion instrument, as it's one of the fewer percussion instruments in the percussion family that allows us to play melodic features. And we can play on Mallet percussions our favorite songs, our favorite movies, theme songs, etc. So I'm gonna make you guys play a game, and I want you to guess 2 songs. This is song number 1. This is song number 2. So you commonly see both glockenspiel and xylophone in concert bands, percussion ensembles, orchestras, and brass ensembles. So this is our bass drum, and by the looks of it, it's just a large drum. And to play the bass drum, we use bass drum mallets, and we strike the head of the drum like so. Now the bass drum produces a loud, boomy sound, almost like the ground is shaking and you can feel it beneath your feet. For such a simple instrument like bass drum, there are a few techniques that are involved. For example, we have the bass drum rolls, and works similarly with the timpani rolls by using rapid single strokes. And we can roll soft by lowering the speed of our strokes. Now we can gradually get louder by increasing the speed of our strokes to create a more thunder effect. Now another technique is hand dampening, and this involves with one hand dampening on the drum and the other hand using the beater to play the rhythms. And the use of hand dampening can make the bass drum sound short and detached. So you get a long bass drum sound like this. To get a shorter sound like this. use of hand dampening, it can really make the rhythms have a bit more articulation. So the rhythm sounds a bit more clearer. I love playing on the bass drum as it's always fun to play on such a large instrument. And it also gives you the power to stay in control of the rhythm and tempo, regardless of which bands, such as brass bands, wind bands, orchestras, percussion ensembles, and marching bands. Every other instrument has to latch on with the bass drum to keep time and pulse. So you can have a faster tempo like this. Which the other band members have no choice but to keep up with such a fast tempo. Or you can have a slow tempo like this. But the main role for bass drum is to keep an eye on the conductor, making sure your beats line up with the conductor sticks at all times.